Below is a respectful, victim-centered script focused on Cecelia Shepard and Bryan Hartnell, whose 1969 attack at Lake Berryessa is one of the Zodiac case's most disturbing and well-documented crimes. Script: Cecelia Ann Shepard was 22 years old in 1969, a college student at Pacific Union College with her life still very much ahead of her. She was spending time with Bryan Hartnell, a 20-year-old fellow student and friend, on a quiet afternoon at Lake Berryessa in Napa County, California. It was the kind of ordinary day that doesn't feel important until suddenly it becomes the last ordinary moment anyone gets to have. Bryan and Cecelia had gone to a secluded spot near the water, a place meant for privacy, rest, and conversation. They were picnicking and enjoying the afternoon when Cecelia noticed a man nearby, lingering in the shade and watching them.
The details Bryan later gave made it clear that the unease began before anything physical happened. There was a long, quiet stretch of awareness that something was wrong. Then the man approached them, wearing a strange hood with a symbol on it, and he claimed he needed money and their car. He ordered them to bind each other with clothesline, and after they were restrained, he attacked them with a knife. Bryan survived with serious injuries, but Cecelia was stabbed multiple times and later died from her wounds. What happened next became a major part of the Zodiac case because Bryan Hartnell lived to describe it. He was able to give investigators a first-hand account of the attacker's behavior, appearance, and the sequence of events. The Zodiac also called police afterward and left a message on Bryan's car door, turning the crime into one more public challenge from an offender who seemed determined to control the narrative as much as the violence. Cecelia was taken to the hospital, but her condition worsened, and she died 2 days later on September 29, 1969.
For investigators, the Lake Berryessa attack stood out because it combined a witness, a surviving victim, a written message, and a very specific attack location. Yet it still did not lead to an arrest. The investigation faced the same enormous obstacle that still defines the Zodiac case. The offender was never identified with certainty. Bryan's account gave police a valuable description, but the case also contained the wider problems that have followed the Zodiac murders from the beginning. Fragmented evidence, a prolific correspondence trail, and decades of competing theories that never produced a public resolution. Even though the Lake Berryessa attack was one of the best-known confirmed Zodiac crimes, the lack of a definitive identification kept the case from closing.
Today, Cecelia Shepard's death remains officially tied to the Zodiac Killer, but the case itself remains unresolved. Bryan Hartnell has remained one of the most important surviving witnesses in the entire Zodiac investigation because he lived through the attack and preserved a detailed memory of what happened. But even with that testimony, the central questions remain unanswered. Who exactly was the man at the lake? How close did investigators ever come to identifying him? And why did this case, like so many others from that era, never reach a final conclusion? Cecilia's story is remembered not because of the violence done to her, but because she was a young woman whose life was interrupted in an instant while spending time on an ordinary afternoon with someone she knew. That is what makes this case linger so heavily more than 50 years later. What do you think keeps a case like this alive in people's minds for so long? The mystery, the survivor's account, or the fact that there was never a real ending?